I worked with somebody, my first job in college, I got a job in Vegas, and I worked with an anchor person, and she was a huge talent. As good as any anchor I ever worked with. She showed up about 3 days a week. And one of the things I learned about that was that I ended up liking, and I was better with her. She was so funny. She eventually left the industry and did well for herself. But it was something a lesson I learned. I'd take a B+ that's there every day than an A that's there twice a week. And not only is Kyrie not there physically, he's not always there emotionally. Like a lot of those stories in Boston that came out after he left, he was blowing up practice. He was blowing up locker rooms. And so, I go back to Steph Curry is willing to come off the bench. The bench. I mean, Russell Westbrook was deeply offended when that was suggested. Iverson was offended by that. So there's a self-awareness thing. Like, we fall in love with talent in life. But LeBron and AD right now are a mess. KD, Kyrie are officially a mess. And Paul George and Kawhi, I'm sorry, one's nonverbal, one's not available. I mean, Paul George, COVID, hide yourself for a month, be an Olympic athlete. So, it's. I think sometimes in the NBA, we just fall in love with talent. When Tyreek Hill got traded from the Chiefs, I had a GM say, 5 draft picks? Yeah, I would trade him too. He goes, Brett Veach knows what he's doing. They'll spend money and get production out of that. So as much as you and I love talent, we all realize the 10 best quarterbacks of all time, maybe 2, Marino and Elway, qualify as the best talent. There's a lot of EQ and IQ and consistency. I am out on Kyrie. I don't want anyone near my roster.
Listen, and so let me ask you this. If you're the GM of the Nets, now keep in mind, you don't really have a lot of picks. Now you have some of Philly's picks, but most of your picks are gone because of the Harden debacle. You don't know. The Ben Simmons thing is now officially one of the most puzzling events in my sports life. He missed the season. He never got hurt. I'm not saying he didn't have a back injury, but my point is the last basketball game he played, he was healthy. He never had a full practice, and he missed the season with an injury. It's one of the wildest things ever. Kyrie Irving has a player option, Colin. If Kyrie Irving opts out, okay, yeah, of course, I want the 5-year full max. 5-year, $230 million. Can you? I don't know what you do if you're the Nets. I don't think you can just let him walk. You let him walk, and it's just Kevin Durant and this Blake Griffin who's 1,000. I don't know what the hell you do there. But am I interested in giving Kyrie Irving 5-year max money? I don't know what I do. So what do you do? Honestly, what do you do if you're the Nets?
Well, here's the thing.
Steve, let me just say this real quick. Stephen A. said at halftime, he was like, I'd give him the $50 million, but 1 year at a time. And I love Stephen A. I have massive respect for him. Yeah, that's great. But he's not going to take a 1-year deal. You can offer to pay him in Subway coupons, too. He ain't going to take that either. Like, he's not taking a 1-year deal. So, like, that's not a tenable option. If he says full max or I'm leaving, what do you do?
Let him go. I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. I don't think he and KD are a great fit. So here's an example. People think about 3 years ago, before the nagging injuries, AD was the brittle one and LeBron was the bull, the 75 games.
Yeah, of course.
AD now is a terrible fit for LeBron. So is Kawhi Leonard, the 2 worst fits in the league with him. What LeBron needs now,
yeah, sure.
He needs Jokic. He needs 73 games. And seriously, and a guy that can shoot. He needs guys off the ball for 70 games. Now, 3 years ago, AD LeBron worked. So Simmons and KD is actually perfect. You'd have to add other elements because he doesn't shoot. He creates shots. He'll defend the best defensive non-center. He's a perfect fit. Kyrie's not. So as Kevin now is increasingly brittle, let's say he gets 68 games a year. Well, Kyrie is unpredictable and brittle and emotionally brittle, and he takes shots. And he's never been a catalyst. He's a finisher. So I think we look at him and go, oh, it's just perfect. No, it's two movie stars. It's really two guys that need the ball and don't really elevate others. So to me, I would let him walk. You know, and I know a lot of dudes want to play with Kevin Durant. He's a good dude.
Oh, sure.
So I think
money.
you have to find. By the way, you have your big Drummond. You'll find bench guys. Simmons will be a good fit. You get what you get out of him. You have draft picks. Go find a couple of guys. Bradley Beal. Find somebody. Do something.
Wow.
But I don't think KD and Kyrie really work. I really don't. You know, I've talked about this, that baseball doesn't have a salary cap. Broadcasting doesn't have a salary cap. So I can't really relate to this. But I do think when you watch Brooklyn play last couple of years, they just don't have a bench. You know, they got a lot of money at the top. Lakers, they don't have a great bench. Warriors will have to probably get rid of Andrew Wiggins. You won't have as much depth. But I'm not going to tell a guy to not take the most money he can. Like, as a professional athlete, you have a music career that makes money. You have an apparel career that makes money.
Yeah.
If I was your agent and I said, Dame, listen, you're very lucky. Basketball players have apparel money. Football guys don't. You have music because you're gifted there. Most athletes don't. Is it offensive to say, I'd take a little less to get like a really couple solid role bench guys? Like if somebody says that to you or suggests it, are you like, whoa. I got like 8 years to make my money. How does a pro athlete see that in salary cap sports when they're a star especially?
Well, I think there's multiple ways to look at it. For me personally, I know that I've made max money over my last 2 contracts. But I'm also looking at, when I look around the league, like you use Brooklyn as an example, and you use the Lakers as an example. Those 2 teams have 2 guys making basically the same number that I'm making. We have 1. So the way I look at that is we still have opportunity to have a balanced roster. Now I've actually taken less money. Like my first max extension, I didn't get the full max. I took less money. And, our team was kind of in the same position. It was like my work and what I was coming to do every season was the same. So the next time it came around, it wasn't a situation where I was like, oh, am I going to take less money or am I not? It was like, this is on the table, I'm taking it, like that's what was on the table. But in a situation where if they, they were to come to me and say, we could get this done with this happening, I would definitely be willing to listen, but the reason for that wouldn't be because of what money I make outside of this. You know what I mean? Like,
let me throw this at you. You're going to age well because you're a shooter. And I've said this before. Like I said this on the air years ago. Russell Westbrook is a great athlete. I don't know if he'll age well because when you get slower and can't beat people off the dribble, there's always room in this league for shooters. I mean, Steph Curry and you could play forever.
Yeah.
Kobe. But there does become a time where it's like, I don't want to play 9 minutes a night. You have many years left as a marquee player. Do you ever think about how it'll end? Will you be like, man, if I could go to a winning culture, first guy off a bench, I would have no problem if you're like, it's not my jam. But part of me thinks, man, if I was tight with guys, I love my crew. How does a star think about it? Do you ever even think about that? Is that ever in your mind?
I do. I think about it, not I'm going to go somewhere and get him off the bench. I never think about it in that way, but I do think like, when I'm not at the height of my career anymore, but I'm still a player that can be a part of winning just because of my mentality and I can shoot the ball. I think the game well. I see the game well. Wow. I watch a lot of film, so I know what I'm up against, every night. I can play a long time. But I think like, the way I look at it is like the next 5 years, 6 years, I know that I can be very good because I don't live a hard life. When I step off the court, I'm not doing crazy. I don't do drugs and out all the time drinking and staying up late. I take care of myself. So I know that's going to give me a great chance to play. I take care of my body. I train the right way. And like you said, I can shoot the ball, and I'm a student of the game. So, once I get past that point and I'm like, okay, I'm not in my prime no more, but, I can still give the team some good minutes. I'm not, I don't want to just be out there being a liability. That's what I'm not going to get to that point. But when I get to that point where it's like I'm not what I was, but I'm still a good player and I can help a team, I definitely can see myself doing it.
Let me first talk about the Packers. It's almost like they're taunting Aaron Rodgers. So first 20 picks, 6 wide receivers. That's a draft record. 2 major trades for wide receivers, and the Packers take 2 defensive players with the 22nd and the 28th pick. Now, I'm not saying they're bad defensive players, and they did have to let Zadarius Smith go to the Vikings. But I just don't see the juice with the Green Bay Packers. I thought there were 5 or 6 really nice wide receivers. I would have taken those 2 picks, moved up, and gotten a wide receiver. That's what I would have done. I think the game is changing. That's why there's so many wide receivers now moving around the league. I thought one of the best picks of the night was Tennessee moving up to get Trey Burks, a big kind of a Deebo Samuel clone at wide receiver. Green Bay could have really used that. When Mark Murphy, president of the Packers, about a month ago said Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a 3-year contract. He's got 3 one-year contracts. I don't think Aaron Rodgers' career ends in Green Bay. I think the Packers are frustrated, fit to be tied with sort of his off seasons, his public unhappiness, some of his passive-aggressive comments, and once again, they go on the defensive side. That's not winning Super Bowls. Tampa and the Rams, more firepower. So I kind of look at Green Bay, and I thought this was the draft to be aggressive. This was the draft to go get a playmaker. I mean, come on now. Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins, old and older. Alan Lazard, Amari Rodgers last year, the slot receiver from Clemson, is not a game breaker. He's a nice slot receiver. This is an organization that has a way of doing business, and I think it's driving Aaron Rodgers crazy, and then Aaron's driving the Packers crazy. There's no way he finishes this 3-year contract. He's watching this draft rolling his eyes.